This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is the show for the week of June 24th, 2024. And this is what's going on in our Disney World, Phil. It's 6 months to Christmas already.
Halfway.
Can you believe it?
Halfway to the holidays.
That means it's 6 months since I've been to Disney World. It seems like
yeah,
forever,
that's
but
true.
it's only 6 months. A lot of stuff got released today. We're going to talk about some discounts that came out. Inside Out 2 is apparently a very good movie, making Disney lots and lots of
At least a popular
money.
movie, yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. And then I can't remember the gentleman's name. Sean Ranks the Mouse put out a tweet ranking all Pixar movies since 2000. And so we're going to kind of go do that since we had so much fun ranking our moderate resorts. All resorts. We're gonna do that too. That being said, first we want to remind everybody our social media at the DBC Pod everywhere, and of course our Discord server. Make sure you check out, enjoy the conversation, because we want to welcome Wake, brand new member in Discord. Thank you for joining, hopping into his first conversation just a couple of days ago. But I think the top of the show, we have to talk about Inside Out 2.
Yep.
After 2023, a year of, I wouldn't say failed movies, but movies that did not meet expectations.
Yeah, I was going to say underperforming for sure.
Underperforming. That has, I guess in the last 2 years, has developed a culture of Disney protagonists, I guess, if you want to call them, that are poo-pooing the Disney studios, and Disney doesn't have any creativity left in the normal nonsense that you hear. And a movie like this comes out and kind of proves them all wrong. So, Phil, what's going out with Inside Out 2? Where do we stand? What happened last week?
Yeah, so Inside Out 2 has been out for just over a week, I guess about 9-10 days by now. It is currently up to $355 million domestically, which is beyond where the point it had, but in 8 days it had actually become the number one domestic movie of the year already. It passed Dune 2.
Not animated movie.
No, just any movie of
Yes.
far in 2024. And it's up to $724 million worldwide in 9 days. And what I found really interesting, in its second weekend domestically, it made $100 million, which if you follow the kind of projections and stuff like that, it was initially projected to make like 90 to 95 million its opening weekend.
Yeah.
So in its second weekend, it beat the initial projections for its opening weekend. So
It's got legs.
it definitely seems to have legs. My family saw it together. My youngest went with one of her friends, so she's seen it twice. It seems like something people are going to a number of times. I don't think you haven't seen it yet, Jason, right?
No. Unbeknownst to me, my wife and one of the other mother friends brought all of their kids, all 6 kids, to the movies on Friday, and I was working, obviously, so I couldn't go. Well, maybe not obviously, but I couldn't go. I was not informed. So I'll end up catching it when it hits streaming in like 5 months, probably.
Yeah, we'll see. But we did go see it. We saw it, I think it was the Sunday of the opening weekend. And by that point, the reviews were starting to roll in, whether it's on our Discord or elsewhere. And everyone was really raving about it, almost to the point where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to think it's that good. Like, kind of like being prepared to be a little disappointed versus the rave reviews.
Sure.
But it definitely lived up to the hype. It's a really good movie, and it kind of, even compared to the first one, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's about like a teenage girl, so it's going to be like Turning Red or whatever. And it's like, well, that's the lead character. What it covers are universal things that like everybody can associate with in their daily lives and stuff like that. So don't want to give out any spoilers for people that haven't seen it, but it's a really good movie. Definitely impacted me with some of the stuff I'm going through, like kind of mentally and emotionally. So I definitely highly recommend it, and it definitely seems to have legs. We'll see how much it does. I think this weekend coming up, it's fairly unopposed. I think the weekend after that, Despicable Me 4 comes out, so we'll see. But probably another big weekend, and then we'll see where it goes. But yeah, worldwide hitting $1 billion is within range.
I think the first weekend, it was the second best weekend for an animated feature since Incredibles 2. Was that
Yeah,
the
so
right
it's this.
stat?
It was the second highest ever. Incredibles 2 has the highest, which that was one thing that hit me when they were going over all these records, and it was kind of second to Incredibles 2. I kind of forgot how good that movie
Yeah.
did. I don't think it had the legs that some other movies did. And then third was the Super Mario Brothers movie, and then I'm trying to remember. Frozen 2 was fifth. I forget it was. Another sequel was fourth. So obviously, you could tell why Disney is maybe going to be focusing on some sequels.
So
Oh, it's Finding Dory was fourth. That's what it was.
So kind of going back on your review, not to spoil anything, not that I've seen it, I can't spoil it, but my wife went to see. I don't think my wife's been to the movies in like 6 years or so. I can't remember the last time. She's not a big moviegoer, and she recently hasn't been really watching that almost any movies other than what we watch on family night type of thing, right? And she came home thinking it was extremely cute, and she loved certain characters and the way they performed, and she did like impressions of all of them, trying to describe it to somebody else at one of the barbecues we had this weekend. And so it really like impacted her in certain ways. Also, she was able to relate to the characters. And I think one of the things that we have to ask ourselves is, why is this doing so well, right? Yeah. And I think me not seeing it and you having seen it is a really good place to start, because I'm going to have like an outsider's point of view why I think it is, and you can kind of back it up with the truth because you've seen it. It is a sequel. As much as people love bashing Disney for putting out sequels and trying to be original, we're going to go over some of the original movies that have come out in the last 10 years. You've had your opportunity to support original movies. The reason why Disney puts out sequels is because they do $700 and something million into weekends, right? Yeah. So there's a reason. But because it's a sequel, it's familiar, right? I read somewhere else that the old Disney formula still works, where they put out movies like every 7 years in a franchise, or like the old Disney Vault days. Yeah, they used to reissue the VHS or the movie on film. I think it was every 7 years. It might have been
I believe it was 7 for the re-releases back in the day. Yeah.
So one of the things that Disney makes their living off nostalgia, right? That's a main key factor. So when the movie first came out, you have people that are now parents or new parents and now have kids, and they want to share those experiences. So there's like a lot of like reliving and shared experiences type of thing. The movie didn't have, at least from what I've seen, any inherent message or messaging that people are keen to like attack and call woke or whatever, for whatever reason. The message was based on the story, from what I understand. It's growing up, it's emotions, it's coming to terms with becoming an adult, and all this other type of stuff. And that's a universal message, without saying like, I am this ism, or we're against this ism, or whatever you want to do. Not that I don't mind those movies, but something that you just don't have to think about is also something that I think is universally appreciated, because a lot of those people have done a pretty good job scaring people away because of being afraid to like something that might have an ism or whatever, or, some people just want to go and see a good movie. So does that anything ring true from what?
I think so. And I think what's really why it's been hitting for so many people is, while it is focusing on a girl becoming a teenager and coming of age and that sort of thing, it's her dealing with like having anxiety, and like how you can't let anxiety dominate you, but it's still a part of you. Like all those things that even, yes, it's very relevant when you're growing up, but it's still super relevant to everyone at every walk of life. So I think it really hit on that. But then obviously you have, the parents, you see into their heads and how they're reacting to their, teenage daughter and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people can relate to at least one of the characters in there, but the general message as well.
Well, let me hit up on it, because like compared to like Turning Red, because it's another coming of age type of movie, right? Coming of age was about a girl, which probably not necessarily cuts your audience in half, but appeals stronger to one side of the population than the other. Versus Inside Out, which is about a girl coming of age, but the main characters are all the feelings that are like either amorphous or like anti-gender. I don't know, not anti-gender, but like don't have a gender, or there's a mixture of
there's everything kind of
recommended, whatever, right? So it's a collection type of movie where it's not like any one direction. So it appeals to a lot of different people.
Yep, I agree. And then I did find it interesting that even before the movie came out, maybe just because I've cleaned up my timeline and who's on there or whatever, but I didn't really see too many things like about like woke Disney related to this movie compared to, say, Wish. And I don't know if it's just because that had a very clearly person of color as the lead, or it just felt like Disney was pushing something more with that, with it being like the 45th, like kind of for their 100th anniversary and stuff like that. So it really brought out people. I don't know if it's a Pixar versus a Disney thing.
I don't
I
think
don't
it's a
know.
Pixar versus Disney thing, because I don't think people really are keen
Yeah.
to split the two at this point. Maybe 20 years ago, but
Yeah.
not now. I never really got the wokeism with Wish. I just got like, this is just a terrible movie type of vibes. But again, I also think you cleaned up your timeline too. I think that's a huge thing. We've been talking about that for a very long time. So with Wish, I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
It just was not it's not a well-made movie, just from how it was structured from a story point of view. We don't have to get into why, but like the pacing was off. And I think beyond that, like you don't know that until you've seen the movie. And if you've seen the movie, you've already paid for the movie or watched it on streaming, right? But like just from like the advertising, right? What you get to entice you to go spend your dollars to see this movie. The music itself wasn't really compelling for Wish, because Wish was, this is a princess movie. It's going to have a soundtrack. It's going to have music. We're going to really want to like it, like whatever. I don't think the music was altogether compelling. It was good, but it wasn't like that's a catchy tune. And then the first thing that really, I don't want to say turned me off, but like gave me like, oh, this is probably not going to be a good movie, is the goat that could start speaking. Like the voice just completely threw me off. I was like, that just did not feel like, a good character. And then the star was kind of too. It's weird to say cartoonish in a cartoon, but like it didn't like. It felt like an antithesis to the animation style that it was in, and the show should have been the focus of her and all of her friends. But it was a focus. All the advertising was her and her pet goat and the star that didn't talk, that was following around her, right? Yeah. So I don't think it was marketed very well, as compared to Inside Out 2. That was, I thought, marketing very well.
Yeah, much better.
You can watch it and know what it's about. Obviously, it's a sequel, but like it clearly showed you what this version of Inside Out 2 was going to be about. And I think it is very simple. It's about emotions, so it came across very easily in the marketing and allowed people to go see it. Now, here's another point, unless you want to go anything about Wish versus Inside Out.
Well, the only other thing I was going to mention was, two things. What I do think that Elemental kind of like, well, it didn't do great in the theaters. It kind of started to get that buzz on Disney Plus, and kind of, I think that maybe reminded people that like, oh, Disney can do like some good movies and that sort of thing. And the other thing I was going to mention is they have started to increase the delay from theaters to Disney Plus.
Yes.
If you follow those, like I think it was Elemental was up to like 69 days. Wish was up to 133 days. I just checked just to pick a recent live action. Dial of Destiny was 154 days. So I think people like there for a while there, it was like 30 days, like a month and a half.
I'll catch it on streaming.
Yeah. So people are like, I'm not even going to bother. Now I think it might be back in people's head. Like, well, if I don't go to the theaters, I'm probably going to have to wait 5-6 months. And everyone's saying this one is pretty good. I don't think I want to wait 5-6 months. So I'm thinking that probably helped as well.
I think Wish got sacrificed to that sentiment, because I think I think that opening weekend probably would have done better, not like significantly breaking records better.
Yeah.
But like, I think people were still on that, and like, we want to see.
So.
This is a major Disney princess release. They pressed hard on the marketing. There was toys, there was merch. They released a song a day. It was all over social media. And I think people were like, great, I'll watch it on streaming. Because again, it didn't look like a compelling movie to begin with. I mean, that's the baseline for it. But then like it finally came out. Like what did you say? Like 4 months?
Was it 133 days. So what's that? 30? Yeah, like 4 months. Yeah,
whatever. People are like, whoa, I got to wait that long. I think they're starting to kind of get that back.
Yeah.
Not that Indiana Jones had anything to really do with it, but
well, just thinking like just getting more into people's mind that everything's not coming to Disney Plus right away.
No, I think so too. I think one other thing though with this movie is, because it was so good, because it was compelling, I think people are like, I have to go see that. I think it has its own momentum that's drawing people in to kind of push people over. Like, well, if everybody's seeing it, I got to go see it too. And then I guess so. It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah,
and I want to okay. Let's go ahead. Comment on that.
Well, I was just going to say, I think it just leads to the point of that. It feels like movies that become event movies, like you said, that people are like, I got to see it. I got to see it now. I don't want to wait. Do build upon each other and still like show that people will go to the theaters, but it seems like it's got to be compelling versus just going for the sake of going.
I'm curious to see once Despicable Me comes out, whether or not that might pull people that haven't seen it yet to see like a double header where, in the theaters, like it's going to be a cartoon Sunday. We're going to go see two. Granted, you might have to take out a second mortgage to afford to go see two movies this day and age, but we'll see. I'm just curious how that's going to go. Now, what the next part in your questions here is will this push to put that in Disney World? If so, where? Right?
Yeah.
I'm asking this question because I know you want to answer this first because I know exactly what you're going to say, so I'm not going to steal your thunder. What do you think this will push them to put this in Disney World? Because Joy's been in Disney World, right? It's a known thing. It's doing very well. So what do you think is going to happen, and where do you think it's going to happen?
I think if it was something that was kind of on the table, it definitely is moving up the list. I think, there's been comments from Iger and stuff like that they kind of are targeting IP they feel are quote unquote franchises. That's why they picked, Encanto, they said that was Moana. We're seeing the sequel to that. And I think this one is clearly showing that this is a franchise. It's not just a one-off movie. So I think that all lines up perfectly with what they want. And it has presence elsewhere in California Adventure. It's got a ride and stuff like that. So it's not like it's not in any of the parks. But outside of the meet and greet, there's not much in Florida.
So I personally, this just struck me. Like I could see inside when you said franchise, I could see Inside Out 3 or 4 or whatever, where maybe 4 skipping 3 is like, you're dealing with parenthood or getting married or other stuff. You could see this character go through everything through life. You can see this every 5 or 7 years. Another one comes out and makes $1 billion. So that's not too bad. As far as being in Disney World, I think it will be in Disney World. I thought you were going to tell me where you thought they might do with that character in Florida. Did you want to go?
Well, where I hope it goes.
Here we go.
Is that they revitalize the Wonders of Life Pavilion and put it in World Discovery at Epcot, because I don't know the state of the attractions, but there are multiple facilities for attractions. Obviously, one of them was Cranium Command, which is almost like hand in glove type thing for Inside Out. But you could make a whole thing kind of about health and mental health with this is sort of, and you could have stuff with Big Hero 6 and Baymax for health. Like you can make a whole pavilion that this would be a big part of. Obviously, the other rumor in the past was that it was going to be in the Imagination Pavilion. Either as a separate thing or taking over the main ride or cohabitating with Figment or what it was going to be. But I hope they just have this whole pavilion that's nothing going on. And if you have a franchise you feel strongly with, why not use it?
See, I would prefer to go in the Imagination Pavilion only because I don't think it fits. I guess you can make it fit in World Discovery if you kind of squint your eyes a little bit instead of being science. It's like
that's why I was
exploring the inner.
That's why I was thinking also if you tied in with Big Hero 6, that kind of had the whole technology angle too. It's just like technology of health, that sort of thing.
But because I've never understood everybody's obsessive love over Figment, right? I mean, I don't have a childhood love or Figment. It's I only know the current iteration of the ride. It's a terrible waste of time in my opinion attraction, and that pavilion looks like a 1980s mall. We've talked about this plenty of times. If they weren't gonna go all out and try to kickstart Figment again with they put out a show or a movie or whatever is the rumors that there's something going around out there and like, oh, this character's a hit, let's rebuild this. World Discovery would be a great place for it. Obviously, I'm not strong in either direction, but I would love the Imagination Pavilion on that side of the front of the park to have some gravity.
Yeah,
because you've got Soarin', but that's not strong gravity at this point versus like Guardians.
Oh, and even to get to Imagination, it's kind of like you have to walk down a little bit. It's almost a little dead endish and stuff like that. So you definitely need to have a reason to go there.
Yeah, so I would love for that end of the park to kind of just pull more crowds away from like what eventually will be Test Track 3 and Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. So I think,
and honestly, if they redid the whole thing, I mean, I'm trying to be fair to everything and stuff like that, but you could still have the Figment meet and greet. Maybe you make the Magic Eye Theater some sort of 4D movie with Figment, and then the ride is more Inside Out. Like you could still have Figment have a presence or even a bigger presence, even if it's not the main ride isn't focused on them.
No, I'm with you on that. I just don't know how fast it'll move because we'll find out what they're really working on in a couple months. But it really like irks me that the Wonders of Life Pavilion just remains kind of boarded up
Exactly.
back there. Like, it's a cool looking building if you look at it through like.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time
right?
there. I mean, when I was a kid, we went there for Wonders of Life and Body Wars and all that sort of stuff. But even as an adult, like a younger adult, it used to be the festival center, and that's where they had like the artist or the author, the book authors, and the food demonstrations and stuff. Like they used the building for something, and now it's just nothing.
Yeah, it's a shame. So you want to talk about the prospects of
just real quick? I thought, do we think now this is Disney building more momentum from this, and it's going to build on that, or is this more of a one-off and just over the next 18 months? The main releases they have are Moana 2, which is coming out November 27th of this year. Mufasa, which is coming out December 20th of this year. The Pixar is next year is Elio, which I think was supposed to come out before, had been pushed back. That's next June. And then Zootopia 2 is next November of 2025.
So I don't know anything about Elio other than what's been like kind of teased. That's all anybody knows. But Moana, Lion King, and Zootopia all are billion-dollar franchises, right? So they have the expectation of bringing in buco bucks, right?
Yeah.
So is Moana 2 going to be good? Well, there's a couple things here, right? So here's why I think it has a great chance of being good. Obviously, it's Moana. It's great soundtrack, great music. If they continue that, it's going to be great automatically. 2, it was supposed to be a TV show, which probably was a directive from Chapek to make Disney Plus better.
Yep.
And if you look at a lot of the other Disney Plus shows, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars or anything else, a lot of the things that were movie treatments that got stretched out to shows were terrible, or they had filler episodes that just made the whole thing bland. So if they bring it back in to make it a movie, I think that's going to be great. Again, Moana is going to be awesome no matter what, as long as the soundtrack is good.
Yeah.
That's the best part of that movie, right? So they got to nail that. The Lion King, you don't like live action movies. I thought The Lion King was probably the weakest out of all of them.
Yeah. I am a little bit intrigued with this just because it's a new story, though.
Yes, I like the new story aspect, but when I watched the first live action Lion King, like I did not like. It was very distracting for me to like follow the dialogue with talking animals that are computer animated versus like cartoons. For some reason, like the voices were too floaty. I couldn't follow who was saying.
Well, just when they're more realistic, they're not as expressive as the real cartoonies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I don't know. I suspect that might be a dud. Well, I mean, hopefully it breaks even for
yeah. I mean, it is obviously it's getting the Christmas release, and the first one did do really well. Assuming it's a good story and stuff like this, I think it could do well. I'm actually a little worried about Moana 2, just from a dollar standpoint, because it's coming out the same weekend as Wicked, which has a lot of buzz. I mean, it's obviously not fully overlapping audiences, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not number one for the week it comes out.
I don't know about Wicked. I mean, this is just me personally. I don't have any attachment to it. I mean, I'm intrigued by it, but isn't it like a split movie where like
it's part one,
part one of two? So we'll see. The other one I'm really curious about is Zootopia, since that was another $1 billion movie, but it didn't have that much major impact here domestically.
Right, it was more
amazingly popular internationally. So I'm curious to see how the domestic versus international is on that one. But I suspect that one's gonna have us. I would be surprised if that did not earn at least $800 million globally.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's still 18 months off, so who knows? A lot can change from now to then, but they at least, I think, have the prospects for sort of keeping the momentum going and having a couple of hits in a row.
As long as the story is good, right? And that doesn't discount, that doesn't even talk about all the different Marvel stuff that's coming.
Oh, yeah, this is just the animated stuff,
right.
for sure.
So I'm curious to see how Deadpool and Wolverine come out. I have not been to a movie opening night since I was 20 something years old. I will be there for that one.
Yeah.
That's how much I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
All right. So before we start ranking movies, we're going to have a little bit of a chaser here with a conversation you had on Discord. So I'm going to prompt you for this one. So your wife is going to be at Magic Kingdom this Friday with 2 of your kids.
Just one. It's just
just one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct.
Just my oldest. So it's her and my oldest will be there.
Yes. So they have a unique problem. Never before have there been 2 virtual queues, a Genie Plus, and an individual.
Yeah. Just to clarify for people not aware, this Friday is the official opening day of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Yes. they're not going for that. It just worked out that the day they were already all set up to be at Magic Kingdom and had, they're booked for the fireworks dessert party and stuff like that. So they were set for this Friday, and then they announced that Tiana's was opening that day.
So Tiana's virtual queue, in case everybody knows, is not a permanent one. They said it's just for its initial
it said they expect it to be for a short period of time. They haven't said how long yet.
Yeah, so we'll see how it is. But in that it doesn't really make a difference for your wife.
Right, it's at least one day. So
she's going to be there for it. Your 7 a.m. wake up call is going to have 2 virtual queues, a lightning lane, and an individual lightning lanes if they so choose to purchase one, which I imagine they will. Are they doing individual lightning lanes?
We don't. It kind of depends on if they get the Tron virtual queue, they might not bother with the individual lightning lane.
Okay.
If they're kind of tied up with other things and they wind up not getting a Tron one, then they might buy one. So it's a little up in the air. That's definitely not a priority.
So you asked the group on Discord, what would your game plan strategy to be as successful as possible at 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
So I have my answer, and then you let me know if you agree with me or not.
Yep.
So my primary focus will be the Tiana virtual queue. Because the larger population of people are going to be going after that because you don't have to have Genie Plus for it. Everybody has access to that. So that would be my first one. Secondary focus would be the Tiana Lightning Lane because, again, it's probably the one everybody's going to get. But a lesser amount of people are actually going to have Genie Plus for that. Yep. I would actually probably buy Genie Plus midnight for that, by the way, just in case. And then my tertiary focus will be Tron because there's going to be a 1 p.m. drop for that.
And then,
Friday
like I said, if they
40 minutes.
don't get either of them, they can always buy the individual lightning. Like there's more backup plans for Tron.
Right. So do you agree that is the I assume that you are going to be trying to get the virtual queue for Tiana. Your girls are going to be getting the Tiana Lightning at the same time.
Yep.
And then you'll attempt Tron at that point.
Yeah, I think so. So that's the main thing is, a couple of us will be trying from home. They'll be trying in the park. So I'll have a number of people and just kind of figuring out how many people should go for the virtual queue versus should everybody do that? And then after you get it, everybody switch to trying to get the lightning lane, or should like 1 or 2 of us try for the lightning lane while everybody else is going after that? Because you don't want to miss out on both. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like more where I was wondering was like where should we rank the virtual queue versus the Genie Plus lightning lane as far as how many people should try for each?
So I think you being the ultimate virtual queue getter, you're very good at it, should be the primary focus is getting the virtual queue for Tiana, right? So you're going to be the best at that one. Wheezy on Discord had an interesting supposition saying the lightning lane is more important because it's breaking down more often.
Yeah.
And if you happen to get it, that automatically gets you a anytime lightning lane for something else if it so happened to go down while you're there. So that's a bonus.
I did think about, it did kind of push it that maybe I should, rather than just everybody going for the virtual queue or only like one person for the lightning lane, maybe have a couple for the lightning lane, bump up the priority a little bit more for what Wheezy's saying, but also whether, despite it being an anytime one, just when the ride comes back up, they're going to try to get those lightning lane people through first because they've paid for it.
Yeah, sure.
So having that, like if you had both, there's more value in having the lightning lane than the virtual queue.
I hope no one ever has to go through this ever again.
I remember, I forget if it was Gene or Mama Six. Somebody commented, it was like just reading your question is making my head spin.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that we have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's a one day thing. It just happens to be the day that it opens. It's not going to be like this forever. I'm sure it'll be no issue, when I go in August and stuff like this. So part of it is the fun of it. Part of it is the planning for it, but it is going to be, speaking of Inside Out and anxiety, we will be having some anxiety.
No, you'll do just fine, I suspect. Another quick announcement is there are reported details of an upcoming discount. It's not out yet, but unless it's launched this evening, but people are announcing the details. Beginning on June 27th, you can save up 30% of all fall rooms and hotel stays from basically the month of December, November 25th or 24th through the 25th. And then there's other ranges. But the big thing on here is free hopper add-ons to your tickets when upgrading to a Walt Disney Travel Company package. Basically, if you get at least 4 days or longer and you get a ticket, 4 tickets and the hotel stay, which is a Disney package, hotel plus tickets, you get free hoppers.
Yeah.
Which to me is are really, really interesting. Not because of the dollar amount, because that's $90 a person. That is not a huge ad for like a dollar savings, right? Because you're also getting the discount for the room on top of
Well,
that.
I
too,
had
which
to I
makes
had to
it
like
really good.
reread it 3 times just to make sure that it was like you were stacking your discounts, that it's not one or the other. It's you get both. You get your
Yeah.
discount off the room, and if you get the tickets, you get the room discount and the hoppers, which I feel like I don't remember the last time I've seen like stacked discounts like that.
Yeah, I
Normally it's the
mean,
other way, right? Like for the dining plan, it's like, well, you have to buy the tickets and upgrade to the hopper if you want to get free
well,
dining or something like
you
that.
could currently right now get a hotel discount and then get the 4-day $99 ticket
Right,
discount
that's
at
true.
the same time.
Yeah.
Which again was the first time I thought that was interesting because I was helping a friend book it. Like, I don't know if you can get both, but we're gonna try.
Yeah, I guess if you buy them,
And it worked.
you're doing it separately, right? It's not,
Yep.
not as a package.
So you got to link them to, and it worked just fine. So couple things here. I really like what Disney's doing. It's one, they're discounting tickets. Granted, it's a $90 discount on everything. Because if you didn't know, from any ticket package, whether you have 4 tickets or 80 tickets, to convert all your tickets to hoppers is a flat fee of $90, right? It doesn't raise or go down based on the amount of tickets. So that's interesting that they're starting to dip their toe into ticket discounting, which I really, really like.
Yeah.
And I've been saying for a very long time is what they need to do. And by the way, I looked for tickets for next May where I'm thinking about booking my next trip. All the tickets are $115 for like the second or third week of May.
Okay.
Which I thought was rather inexpensive versus some of the other times I looked at. Anyway, what's also interesting is because there's so many parties going on between November and December, which Hollywood Nights and the Very Merry Christmas Party, half the parks are going to be closed to guests that don't have a individual party ticket. So if everybody has hoppers, then everybody can go to Magic Kingdom in the morning and then go somewhere else, which makes Epcot not as crowded, which makes Animal Kingdom maybe not crowded. Not that anybody goes there anyway at this point, but like it allows you to use the park space. So then the old strategy of going to Magic Kingdom the day of a party to get like a lesser type of crowd level, it's not going to be a thing anymore because people are going to go there.
Yeah, I mean that's what it jumped out to me too. Is like we usually don't get hoppers, but around the holidays, I could see it having a ton of value for the reason you said. But Disney probably saw that too, right? That on the party days, Magic Kingdom was much less crowds. This is a way to kind of build that up so that it's kind of going to be more of a normal day, or just to attract more people to go to Magic Kingdom on party days.
When I guarantee you, well, not guarantee you, we definitely know that Magic Kingdom probably makes the most amount of money per person with merch and food and everything.
I would think so, yeah.
Versus any other park, right?
Yeah,
the only be in a park.
The only other thing I could think of is the other ones have alcohol. So I don't know, alcohol sales.
I'm just talking about merch. I mean, like if you're going to go out and have drinks and stuff like that, I think you'll get drinks in other parks.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get them anyway, I think. But you're true. You're going to have alcohol sales otherwise. But other than maybe the people buying a $300 lightsaber at Hollywood Studios,
that's true.
I think Magic Kingdom is probably the best place for Disney to entice families to buy plush of whatever favorite characters and stuff like that, right? So I wonder if part of this is Disney's like, okay, one of our main complaints is these parks are super full. I can't get a good Magic Kingdom day. Because when I was there the week before Christmas, there was 2 days Magic Kingdom was open until 11 o'clock. It's normal closing time. And two, what Disney says, well, if we give everybody free hoppers, we make everybody happy. We don't lose any money because we're flipping a switch, right? We're just not getting those dollars. And maybe a lot of people aren't buying hoppers anyway. And if we get them into Magic Kingdom, we're getting them to spend more money because they're buying more stuff, which I think is an interesting type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if, we hearing reports of restaurants being less than full at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah.
If you go to your Magic Kingdom day and you kind of want some dinner, that gives you the freedom to go book a restaurant at like Epcot or somewhere else where you're like, oh, let's have dinner at Epcot. Before we couldn't do it because it wasn't our Epcot day, but now we can go. So maybe that allows. I really wish we'll be able to get the information about like maybe we could check ADRs the weeks that this is going on and see if some of them become more full than others. I think it'd just be really cool to see how the population is kind of dispersed during that. So that should be interesting. Anyway, keep an eye out for that. If you're going down during the November, December timeframe, you get free hoppers. And again, these hotel discounts that they're putting out there, they're not special. Like we've seen 20 to 30% discounts before. But I think the free hopper is the thing that kind of stands out for this.
Yep.
One. All right. So our game.
Yep.
Our game. Why don't you set us up, Phil?
Yeah, so similar to how we did the resort one, although hopefully it won't take 3 episodes, we are going to rank all the Disney and Pixar animated movies that have come out since 2020. There's 11 of them. I put together categories because we'll try to be a little bit more scientific about it, and kind of thinking about how we thought about the movies when they were first coming out or when they were, first promoted, through actually seeing them and rewatching them, and then do we think they have franchise value like we talked about before. So I have 5 categories. I called it excitement. That's kind of like leading up to the release. Our initial impression, the first time we saw the movie, like right away. Looking back on it, has our view changed? Like we thought it right away, it was amazing. Looking back, it's like, maybe it wasn't as good. Rewatchability, is it something that we watch a lot or kind of once was enough? And then franchise value. Everything we can score 1 out of 5, so the maximum score you could get is 25.
All right, I love it.
So
where do you want to start?
I guess I'll start with the oldest one, which is Onward, which came out in the theaters on March 6, 2020, is a Pixar movie. This is the one we actually saw it in the theaters, like when it first came out, and then I think COVID happened like a week and a half later.
Next week, yeah.
So it made about $60 million domestically, 142 globally, but obviously that's when the world shut down and that impacted things. And then they brought it onto Disney Plus 28 days later. So Onward, do you remember the promotion for this one and kind of what was your excitement level out of 5 for it?
I vaguely remember it. I mean, this was out. We might have been talking about this like on our first podcast or something else like that, because that's right around the time we started recording.
Yeah.
Do I remember it? No. But what I remember is like, I'm a big giant nerd. I love adventure stories. I love monsters and magic and stuff like that. I really dig it. And I got excited for it because it's like the genre of fantasy, books for it. So I was pretty excited for it being Pixar. And again, we're just coming off the year of 2019 where every Disney movie was doing $1 billion and was awesome. So my excitement for level for it, I don't, this is going to be tough because in context with everything, I don't know where to put it. Like what is max excitement? What is minimum excitement? Yeah. So for this, I think I'm going to give it a 3. I was pretty excited for it, but I wasn't like stoked. So I'll say like 5 excitement level is like considering seeing it in, opening weekend. Yep. That would be my excitement. That would be a 5 for me. So this is about a 3. I never really seriously considered seeing it in the movies, but I was looking forward to it nonetheless.
Yep. I'm like a 4. Similar reasons we did go see it opening weekend. I just thought the world building looked really cool and how it was like fantasy, but like kind of making it seem like how our lives would be in this fantasy world. And just knowing what Pixar has done with some world building, I was really excited for it. It just seemed different. So I remember being rather excited for it to come out, but
what was your initial impression then, since you went to see the movies?
Yeah, so my initial impression was I liked it. I remember thinking it felt more like a DreamWorks or a like an Illuminations type film until like the last 15 minutes, and then it was like, oh, there's the Pixar feels, and like that kind of gets you. So I liked it. The ending kind of got me, but it wasn't like an all-time great. So I remember, like a 2 or a 3 probably.
See, my initial impression was probably a 2. I was pretty disappointed with it because I was here for like the adventure, right? And it was more comedy than adventure, right? Because it was more slapstick comedy going on.
It's kind of joking
of
between the brothers and stuff. Yeah.
But I wanted to see. I mean, I could have gone with more of like a Star Wars original trilogy approach where it's all serious adventure, but with like slapstick jokes that kind of supported it versus the other way around. So that's why it was a 2. Like it was just too goofy and non-serious for me for a lot of it.
And then looking back, do you feel about the same?
Like, how are we gauging looking back here?
Looking back is just like, were you more excited about, like, has it kind of grown on you and now you find yourself like more into it and thinking better about it than that initial impression?
No, I'm pretty much the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same.
think for this one, I'm about the same too. Rewatchability. I think I've only rewatched it like once since it was on Disney Plus.
I've never rewatched it because I watched it on Disney Plus. I have no desire to see it again.
Yeah,
So I guess that's a 1.
Yeah, I think that's a 1. Franchise value. I mean, they've had like meet and greets and stuff like that. You'd think with the world building they did with it,
Yeah.
like you could have a Disney Plus show, or like you could do more with it. But they haven't done a ton with it.
No, it's a lost thing. I want to say that there's the value in it is maybe I want to give it a 2 because it's not like it's not a dead franchise because it was so terrible. I just think that bad timing and obviously all the other type of stuff kind of killed it. And even if COVID never happened, I'm not too sure if we would ever get a sequel out of this one anyway.
Right. Okay. The next movie is Soul, which is another Pixar one, although this one went straight to Disney Plus. If you remember, it came out on Christmas of 2020 as sort of like, here's your Christmas present from Disney. It was re-released just this past year, but obviously, didn't do anything really in the theaters. And so do you remember when this one was coming out and your excitement level towards it?
I had no excitement level to this one because this kind of dropped out of nowhere. I mean, leading up to this was like the whole COVID year, so I wasn't really paying attention to movies at this point. I had no excitement for it. It looked interesting, but so maybe my excitement level was a 1 for it.
Okay. I was a little more excited. I think it's at least a 2 for me because it was just the music aspect of it and kind of maybe I still had, faith in Pixar and that sort of thing. I just thought it was going to be really interesting, again, different. And I think it was like kind of the music angle of it, like really got me, and kind of like the whole, like, it felt like they were pitching like Pixar's tackling what is the meaning of life. I'm like, okay, like I found that intriguing. My initial impression was I loved it. I was like kind of raving when I first saw it, and
I remember that
watched it a couple times right away. So my initial impression was quite strong.
My initial impression for it was I don't know if I can give this a 3 or a 4 because it's been so long. I just remember the music was great, the story was amazing, and it just like it was like a wholesome, like basically Luminous should have been this movie, or this movie should have been Luminous, right? If they're going to tackle life and death and stuff like that, Luminous, I think that message would have been perfect for it. Without it being a blatant ripoff. Initial impression, I'm gonna give it a 3, because I know there's some other things here I have higher initial impressions for, and I remember Soul being very good, but not like amazing.
I'm gonna bump it up to a 4 just because how strongly I felt about it. Looking back, I still really like it. I still think it's a really well-made film. I don't think it's stuck with me as much as maybe I thought it would. It's rewatchability is another one, but I haven't gone back as often as I thought it would. So looking back on it, I'm a little lower than my initial.
I'm about the same. I'm about a 3 on it looking back. Like my I haven't, I'll answer rewatchability the same thing. Does it have I think it has rewatchability. I have never rewatched it.
Yeah.
But like if somebody had it on, I would sit there and watch it type of thing and enjoy myself. So what does that mean? Is that a 3? 3's across the board for this, I think. Looking back, I think my impressions remain the same on it. It was very good. Rewatchability, I think, also is like a 3. Like I would like to watch it again if I had time or it was on TV or somebody else really wanted to watch it.
Yeah, I think I would give it like a 3 for the looking back. Still good, just maybe not quite as good as the high. Rewatchability, I kind of think it's more like a 2. I just don't think it's a film you need to watch a lot. But like you said, if somebody had it on, I would definitely watch it.
Yeah, that's why I have mine at a 3, kind of like right down the middle.
And then franchise value, I mean, there's not too much of a franchise to. I mean, I know they have the character playing at the Pixar hotel or whatever, but I don't think it's got much of a franchise.
For me, it's a 1. It's like a one and done, like Pixar type of show.
Yep. Raya and the Last Dragon is the next one, which was a Disney release. Again, that went to Disney Plus on March 5th. It was like they actually did release it in the theaters. This was March 5th, 2021. It kept getting pushed back, but they did that simultaneous release. It was like one of the 2 movies they did where you had to pay extra if you wanted to watch it, like on opening day and stuff like that. So it was a simultaneous release in the theaters. It made $54 million domestically, 130 worldwide. What about this one? Were you excited for this one when it came out?
I was super excited about this. This was a 4 for me. Like
Yeah.
I paid for it on Disney Plus. Like I wanted to watch it, right? So I put money into watching this one. Yeah, I mean, I was stoked. Again, it's dragons. They're really cool. Had really cool characters in it. It seemed the animation was really awesome in the trailer. I was super excited about this
Yeah,
one.
I feel very similar to that. Yeah, probably not a 5, but like I think a 4 coming into it. What about initial impressions? What did you think after you saw it?
I have to downgrade it to a 3, and only because this movie would have been perfect if it had a good like music soundtrack, and it had absolutely no music whatsoever. Right? It was an adventure movie, right? This is what Onward should have been, in my opinion, right? Because they did a very good story, very good characters, and everything else. But like it good soundtrack would have made it an epic level. Like this could have been a better version of Hercules from way back then. Like Hercules wasn't a movie that was like amazingly lauded and everything else like that, but it had a good soundtrack. It had a fun movie that stood the test of time.
Yeah.
You know, throughout the last couple decades. I think this one would have had legs and stayed with us if it had a soundtrack.
Yep. And looking back on it, do you feel about the same, or has it kind of improved or not as good go?
I don't know. I've been meaning to rewatch. I'll answer looking back and I'm answering both categories every single time now. Looking back, I think it holds. I'm trying to get the kids to watch this again. They don't want to watch it. They always want to watch something else. And I don't think that's a detriment to the movie, but there's just other things that they want to watch, but it's not a priority to them. I really want to watch it again because looking back, I think I want to keep it at a 4, I think, because it was such a well done story. I want to see it again. So I'm going to put my rewatchability. What did I give Onward for rewatchability? Did I give that a 2?
A 1.
A 1. What did I give Soul? 1
2.
or 2? So this one is going to be a 3 then for me, rewatchability, because I kind of want to get the story.
Do you think we should, as we're talking through it, do you think we should just combine looking back and rewatchability?
No, I mean, let's keep them together because that takes too much work to do live on the show.
And then franchise value.
I think this should have had a huge franchise value.
There's like shoulda and
does
reality.
Yeah. Well, reality says it's a 1 because no one picked up on this movie because COVID times, right? It kind of killed it. But
which is a shame because I mean, could you imagine a whole like land with dragons and like stuff like that?
Oh yeah,
parks or whatever.
This is screaming for Hollywood Studios or Epcot or something else like that. So the franchise value as it stands now is 1. It could probably for a brief time it was a 2 because there was merch that you could buy from it. They did push it, but again, lost to COVID.
Yep. The next one is another Pixar one. It is Luca. Again, this one came out straight to Disney Plus on June 18th of 2021. This was during the time when the Disney movies were coming out to the theaters, but Pixar was going straight to Disney Plus. Do you remember your excitement for this one when it was coming?
This one was kind of ignored by me, like in the run up. Like I knew it was coming out, but I just didn't care. So I had no excitement for this one. This like excitement level was probably 1 for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I remember like the trailer or something like that, and it kind of looked like it was going to be pretty and a good Pixar one, but it didn't really catch me as like, oh my God, I got to see this one. So yeah. Initial impression, what did you think about it when you first saw it?
I thought this was an excellent movie. I really enjoyed this. Like normally with some of the lesser Pixar movies, if you like non-blockbuster ones, I guess you can call them. Sometimes I can hop on my phone or go have a bathroom break and not tell the family to pause it type of thing. Like I wanted to watch every single moment of this one. So my initial impressions of Luca, believe it or not, is probably a 4 because it was such an awesome story and it was unique and I thought it was so well done.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah, I'd be more of a 3 from the initial one. Like I liked it. I thought it was good, but like if I'm comparing it to Soul, like Soul hit me more than Luca did. But moving if carrying my conversation to the next category, looking back on it, I look much more fondly on it. Like it's really grown on me, and I kind of really appreciate the blend of kind of the action and the humor and the buddies and kind of going on in it. I guess I just appreciate it a lot more now. So to me, it was like maybe a 3 initially, but now I'm at like a 4.
So I'm going down to a 3 on looking back. As much as because I got the satisfaction of watching it, really the no excitement to like, boom, this is such amazing. Like it not shocked me, but it surprised me how good a movie was. I wasn't anticipating it. Looking back, it's still a solid 3. Like in order to maintain a 4, right? Here's your thing. You got to combine with rewatchability, right? So like, does it maintain its awesomeness and its epicness, and does it stand the test of time? That's my looking back kind of doing it, and it hasn't, right? It's a movie that was really good that people enjoyed, but it hasn't really like had legs in the culture, so to speak. So I'll downgrade that to a 3. And rewatchability, I'm gonna pump this. This is why I didn't want you to combine them. I could pump this back at a 4 because it's just a fun movie,
my family,
right?
my family does, but my kids, it's one of the ones they put on like all the time. So yeah, it's definitely at least a 4, if not a 5 in my household. Like it seems to be one of the ones that's on a lot.
I know my kids have watched it at least once every 4 months or so. It's on at least at some point. I remember seeing it on. So I'm with 4. Franchise value for this one though, it's got to be a 1 because it's just there's nothing to franchise about it, unless they pull a sequel out for it where
they've been having like the characters out there in the parade in California. I feel like they've been like some of, I forget if it was the restaurant, like some of the hotels that are like Italian, they've been kind of like pushing it into a little bit. Yeah, I think there's a little bit I think it's never going to be anything huge, but I think it's got some legs to it.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is Encanto, which is a Disney release, was released on November 24th, 2021. Made $96 million domestically, $256 million globally. And then this was one of the ones that it was only a 30 days from when it was out until it was on Disney Plus, came out Christmas Eve. This is still kind of part of COVID times and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm going to give my excitement level. If I could go like half scores, I would give it a 2.5. But I'm going to give it a 3 because it was a Pixar movie. It looked really cool and it seemed to have some cool music to it. But I wasn't really following the teaser trailers and all this other type of stuff. So it gets a 3 for me.
Yeah,
this one.
I'm obviously a little bit biased because I know I got to see a preview of it when I went down for Destination D23. So my excitement for it was very high, but I know that's a little. Yeah. If it wasn't for that, if it was just going to be a regular movie, I don't think I would have been. I'd probably been more about a 3, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Initial impression, though.
I mean, when I saw that, my initial impression of the movie was like, goodness, it's probably a 5 because the movie was just absolutely fantastic.
That's
the
what I'm thinking.
The music was great. The story was. I mean, if I had like the music was wonderful. The story wasn't perfect, but it was still absolutely fantastic. It's just a combination of music and memorable characters.
Yeah, memorable characters and a story that maybe it wasn't epic, but it was something I think a lot of people like. Just the generational grief is something that a lot of people can relate to.
But this is what's missing from a lot of movies these days. It's the movies that do the best are the ones that have the best characters. It's character driven. And this one was like the whole family could have been like in Indiana Jones or Star Wars and it still would have been awesome, right? Because the characters were so well written and the drama and the love of the family and stuff like that was so compelling.
Yep. And do you have a similar view looking back?
Oh yeah. I mean, like this has not lost any shine to it over the last couple of years for it. Like, we're looking forward to seeing this in Animal Kingdom. Like it's going to be awesome.
Yep. And rewatchability, I mean, it's on all the time. They had the concert in the Hollywood Bowl that I've watched multiple times and stuff like that. So yeah,
even if it's just for the music, where you skip around to the music scenes, or you watch the scene on YouTube.
I remember that's what, especially when it first came out. I mean, now I've watched the movie more often, but that's what I was doing initially, was just watching like the song numbers, and that sort of thing. Franchise value, obviously, we know it's coming to the parks. They have the show now in Epcot. It's coming to Animal Kingdom and stuff like
5,
that.
Right? Yeah. Like even if you don't agree that the franchise value is high, the fact that they're investing a show, a ride, and all this other stuff, it's high value.
Okay, Turning Red. That was another Pixar one that went straight to Disney Plus again at this time on March of 2022. This was probably the one that really annoyed people because it's like, what? It doesn't need to be on Disney Plus directly. Excuse me. What about you? What was your excitement about this heading into it?
I mean, this one kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't even know it was coming out until like right when it was like dropping. So like my excitement level was like a 1 for it.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say a 1 or 2. I mean, I remember thinking it had some potential. Like it seemed like a cool concept, and some of the like teasers were kind of neat. But I'm not saying I was jumping up out of bed for it.
It wasn't on my radar at all.
Initial impressions of it.
I thought it was really good. I liked this movie. I mean, to me, it's a 3, right? The characters are really funny. The family was like really fun. You got to like, this was like in the part of where I was watching. What's the show? Kim's Convenience Store. Or,
Okay.
I forget the name of the show, exact title, but it was another Korean family in Canada that was running a convenience store and the trials and tribulations of that family. So this was that. I loved how it captured the culture of the family and their history, and like their girls and their. I mean, again, I thought it was really good, and I think it really connected with the girls in my family as well. So the initial impression was definitely
Yeah, I'd probably be a little bit lower, but I can be talked into a 3. I just didn't really connect to it, and some of the humor I didn't think worked. And I'd say the girls in my family didn't connect to it as well as maybe the ones in yours did. I'm not saying that they liked it probably a little more than me, but they weren't gushing about it either. So it's kind of one of those like, okay, that was good. Like it was well done. I appreciated it. Like you could tell the attention to detail. The people behind it felt passionate about it. So I think a 3 is okay, but it wasn't one I was like screaming in the streets about how great it was or anything like that. And looking back, I probably feel pretty similar.
Like I don't want to give it a 4 looking back because it doesn't. I don't think this movie deserves a 4, but it definitely deserves a 3 just because I think it maintains well. And I want to say for rewatchability, the funny thing is we just watched this again as a family, and I kind of liked it better the second time than I saw it. So I have to give that a 4 only because of personal bias. Like my kids have watched it multiple times within the last 4 months, like just randomly.
Okay.
They just rediscovered it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like Luca
right?
for us. Like we haven't. I think my youngest watched it like a couple times. She liked the boy band in it, but I can't even remember the last time we had it on. So
yep.
And then franchise. I mean, I know it does pretty well out in California because they do the Asian American celebrations and stuff like that, but I don't see too much beyond that.
No, I don't think it has any franchise value. Like they're not. I don't think they're going to do anything with it other than kind of pulling out a special meet and greet somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. The next one is Lightyear, another Pixar one. This did come out to the theaters on June 17th, 2022. Made $118 million domestically, $226 globally. So like nobody internationally liked it. And then was on Disney Plus after 47 days. So do you remember your excitement about this one when it was coming out?
Like I had mixed excitement. Like I was excited. Like my excitement level could either be a 2 or a 4, depending on like what you wanted to do, how you were talking to me about it. Like a Buzz Lightyear, another Toy Story movie that made me groan, which made it a 2, right? But like it's a cool space thing, and like this is the real Buzz. Like this is who the toy was based after. I was really, really excited to see something about that. So I think I could give that a 3.
Yeah, I'm probably about the same. I agree. I was maybe like cautiously optimistic about it, but was like wasn't necessarily super pumped for it. Initial impressions, I thought it was pretty poor.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't understand why it got all its hate because I thought it was a pretty decent film. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as like people made it out to be, but it really wasn't very good.
It had issues, right? Yeah. And it got long in a couple areas that could have probably been cut. So I think I go from a 3 on excitement to initial impression of a 2.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. And looking back, probably about the same.
My only thing is I would downgrade my looking back to a 1 only because it has nothing to do with the movie. It has to do with everybody constantly bringing it up. It's like, like all the negative Nancy's that are on any kind of message board somewhere are going to be like, Disney sucks. They're terrible. They don't ever make movies again. Like, why are you on a Disney fan message board in the first place? But this is something that they pulled up. And it's kind of, for me, it's kind of collected all the anti-wokeism nonsense and garbage that's out on in there. And like all that hate for people that their lives need to be better, and they put everything, all their bad energy on Disney for whatever reason. This one encapsulates it because of that time of our history, because of what was going on socially and everything else with COVID and stuff like that. All that just kind of represented it, at least into my brain somehow. It all
I mean, it kind of made you want to not, and it wasn't a good enough movie to make you want to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Rewatchability.
Nothing. No, I have no point in seeing it again. But I want to rewatch it at some point, but it's just like I don't want to waste my time rewatching it. But I also want to rewatch it to say, was it as bad as I remembered it being? Am I discounting it because of it? All the other stuff was shading it too much. I don't know. So rewatchability is still probably a 1 though.
And then franchise value. I mean, I know there was chatter about like, oh, if it does well, they'll replace Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin and stuff like that. But obviously, they haven't done anything.
That's why I'm angry at that movie. It wasn't good enough to give us an update on a ride in Magic Kingdom. But now franchise values. Yeah. I think it damaged Buzz's franchise value. So can we give it a negative number? Whatever the lowest number, 1.
1 is the lowest, yeah. Next one is Strange World, which is a Disney movie. Came out November 23rd, 2022. Made $38 million domestically, $73 million globally. 30 days later, in time for Christmas, was on Disney+.
I was pretty excited about this movie. It looked weird. It looked interesting.
It had really cool like promo stuff. Like it was kind of like the retro like voiceover and stuff like that.
And it was like an adventure movie. I like a good adventure movie, right? The only thing that down my excitement from like I probably would have given this a 4, but it was really a 3. I would score it a 3. It was because the blob creatures or whatever were like a little bit too cute and like whatever. I'm like they could have been a little bit more dangerous or more interesting. So that's the only reason why I was like.
I also felt like they didn't really explain much about what was going on. So I'm like I'm intrigued, but I don't really know what this is about to really get excited.
The marketing was terrible for this thing, for sure. So my excitement level. What did I say? A 2.
This one? You said almost a 4.3. I think a 3. 3 makes sense.
I was excited because I was very interested. I was waiting for a good Disney movie at this point, so that's why I was excited about it. My initial impression was a 3. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. It was a little weird towards the end, and it questioned some of the decision making of some of the characters on it. But like, I enjoyed watching it. I did not regret putting 2 hours plus.
Yeah, I'd probably be. I mean, I could be talked into a 3. I'd probably round down to a 2. I just didn't think it was very good, but like you said, it wasn't like terrible. It wasn't like I was like, I didn't leave the theater or anything like that. But
what did I give Onward on my initial
Onward?
impression?
You gave it 2.
I'd be on par with. No, it was better than Onward. My initial impression, so I have to give it a 3. I enjoyed my Onward. I was kind of disappointed with once I finally saw it. I was not disappointed for watching Strange World.
And looking back,
probably a 2. I mean, I'm like, this is good, but I'm like, really, was it? Was it that good? And again into
rewatchability. I don't think I've rewatched it.
1,
and then
obviously to go back.
No franchise value.
No. Okay. The only thing that really irritated me again because it's Lightyear and the whole wokeism nonsense that goes on. It's just because there was a homosexual couple in it. It was just like, so what?
Well, for Strange World, it was that the main kind of character was gay, and everyone flipped out about that.
I'm like, what's the big deal? The movie itself wasn't fantastic. Do we really need to attack it just because? Like, come on, guys, let's go.
Elemental, Pixar came out in June 16th of 2023, made $154 million domestically, $496 globally, and is on Disney Plus 89 days later in September. And this is one that really kind of built up steam while it was on Disney Plus and became one of the more watched shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah. My excitement for this, what should I rank something I was cautiously optimistic and excited for? Is that
I think
like
that's
a solid 3?
Yeah.
Because I saw this, I'm like, this could be really good or this could be really bad. And then I was worried if another bad Pixar movie would damage the Pixar brand and we would get good Pixar movies again. So this was kind of like, please be good, more than like, I can't wait to watch it type of thing. Yeah. So that 3 kind of goes with me on that one.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling similar to that where I was like, oh, I think this looks really good. But I did also wonder that it seemed a little like Inside Out, and I was like afraid it was going to be like a lesser version of that or something. So I'd be lying if I said I was like a 5 for excitement. So 3 seems okay. Initial impressions.
Initial impression, it was a 4, right?
Yeah, I think it's at least a 4 to me. I thought it was great.
I don't know what I mean. Like for it to be a 5, it needs to be Encanto level good, right? So, but like this was 4. It's like this was awesome, and like me right now looking back, like you could, if you pressured me, I might give it a 5, but like I'm gonna stick with.
I think 4. Yeah, sticking with a 4. I think I loved it, and I still love it, and I'm glad more people started to
Yes,
appreciate it.
100%. And it's the same thing with rewatchability. I
Yeah.
haven't rewatched it yet, but it's on the list of Disney movies that if we don't know what to watch, we can flip this on Disney.
Yeah,
Plus
we've
or
watched it a
maybe
few
tonight.
times, and I know the one song in there. I've watched the music video a few times and stuff like that. And I was glad to, I guess, more the next one, but seeing the characters out and stuff like that. So
And I think that the franchise value for this one is high. I think this has potential franchise value.
Yeah.
Because I think, Disney was hoping that it was going to catch on, but I think they got caught off guard that it had such long legs for this.
yeah,
I think this franchise has a perfect opportunity to use Disney Plus to do a whole ton of shorts with it.
Yep.
See if they could build up the characters a little bit and then drop a second movie in like 4 or 5 years.
I agree.
I think that would be awesome for it. So I think future franchise value is high. I would give this a 3 at this point.
Okay.
I think. But that's just all in vibes, not by basing off.
Yeah,
on
I mean, I
movie,
think
right?
that's fair. Like, I think it has franchise value in that people seem to have gravitated to the characters and they like them. And like you said, yeah, the world building was really good in it, that they could definitely do a Disney Plus series or something like that.
Yeah, I
or
mean, like
shorts.
franchise value has to be more than do they make an attraction or they sell merch. I think it's a world that they could build future content on
Yeah.
without spending the money to develop a brand new world, brand new content. They can keep continuing that. So I guess that's cheaper than building from scratch, right?
Yep.
So there's value to that.
All right. Wish, 2 movies left. Wish came out on November 22nd, 2023. It only made $24 million domestically, $255 million globally, and then did take 133 days to come up to Disney Plus. I did make a note that 5 days into the release on Disney Plus, it did have 13.2 million views, trailing only Encanto and Frozen 2 at that point. So it did seem like this was one where people were like, for whatever reason, I don't know if they figured it's going to be on Disney Plus in short amount of time, or because of all the noise maybe their neighbors were saying or something like that, they didn't want to go see it in the theaters. But once it was on Disney Plus, people did watch it a little bit.
Yeah, both Elemental and Wish were movies like, I'm going to take my girls to see this. I'm going to go take my family to see this movie. And I just never did. Because again, I don't know what movie's worth like $60 to take my family to the movies at this point. But no, my excitement for this was probably a 4, right? Like it wasn't like I was definitely going to go see this in the theaters, but I'm like, there's a really good chance Disney's down for like a new Disney princess. This is awesome. I can't wait to see what the new franchise is going to be all about. But then the initial impressions were, quite low. So I mean, I went from a 4 to probably, I want to say 2, but I know that's being too harsh. I think, but a 3 seems too high.
Yeah, no, so I think a 2 makes sense because maybe it is because I was excited for it and then I was disappointed by it. I think a 2 is fair.
I mean, like after watching the movie, I like the music better. And my daughter, who loves singing, has sung this multiple times since then. My kids have rewatched this movie a handful of times also. But like for me, my initial impression was like the movie was poorly constructed. It was very well made. It was a gorgeous movie.
Yeah. The animation was great.
Animation is wonderful. I think the fact what I felt like they weren't telling a story. They were creating a vehicle to drop in 100th anniversary kind of Easter eggs
and stuff.
It was a vehicle for that versus a vehicle for telling a good story. And I felt kind of cheapened by that. And also, like I said at the top of the show, I did not like some of the side characters. I don't think it needed to be more character driven, and it wasn't.
Yep.
So that was my initial impression. Looking back, I feel the same way.
Same way. Yeah, I think it's similar. I do think it's a movie you can rewatch. It's one you can just kind of throw on there, hear the songs and stuff like that. So I don't know if that makes it like a 3 for rewatchability.
I would give it a 3 for rewatchability because again, it's a fun movie. It has some good music in it, and for like a rainy Sunday afternoon, if you haven't watched it in a while, it's not hateful to put it on again. Like you'll enjoy it. You'll start humming the music, and the kids will probably be occupied for 2.5 hours at least.
And franchise value, I think it's pretty low. I don't think they're gonna.
They tried so hard. They did. And you can't fault the marketing for doing what they're doing. I think the marketing for this is the best that Disney's done in quite some time.
Yeah.
They had meet and greets. They had releasing the music on social media. I think all of that together was so well done. It's just the product wasn't there to support it, unfortunately. And it's gone. They want to wipe this out of the imaginations of all people. They want you to forget that this ever existed.
Yep. And then Inside Out 2 Well, I guess were you excited about it, or were you? Because I know you haven't seen it yet, but
I was not excited about this whatsoever. Like I saw Inside Out 2, it's cool. Like I'm glad Disney's putting out another movie. It basically, for me personally, it snuck under the radar. I was not expecting such a huge hit out of this.
okay. I was excited for it just because I liked the other one, and again, the characters were great, and I liked some of the idea of the new characters and stuff. I'm not saying I'm giving it a 5 or anything like that, but I think at least a 3 for excitement.
That's fair. I mean, like I love the original movie, but like the original movie wasn't like one of my all-time favorite Pixar movies either.
Gotcha.
So like it wasn't a run over to like number 2.
Yep. Initial impressions, I think it's great. I mean, I don't know if I'm going 5 like Encanto levels, but it's at least a 4. I think it's a really, really good movie. And I guess we can't really do looking back and rewatchability and franchise value quite yet.
No, I mean, I think we can. For initial impressions, I'll go off of the vibes I've gotten from my wife and the kids that I've actually seen it. My wife has talked about it more than my kids.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. So initial impressions, I have to. In order for her to go out to a movie and then actually, when the kids go to bed, talk about it. Like you got to give that a 4 over 5. I'm not going to speak for her, but like in that realm of whatever. So I don't know. That's fair if it's to score her on that. Looking back, we can't score it. Rewatchability. We can't score that. But franchise value, I think the franchise value for this is a 5, right?
Yeah.
It's the first Disney $1 billion movie, or it should hit $1 billion in a week or two. And that just like cements another Pixar franchise that's tentatively or temporarily in the parks in some of these meet and greets that I think they're going to put something in within the next 3 to 5 years. That's slightly more permanent, I think.
We can't really fully fill out Inside Out 2. But if I go real quick, and hopefully I can figure out how to sort this by total. So of the films that we can do everything at, Encanto came out number 1.
That does not surprise me.
23 out of 25 possibility. Then Elemental with 18. Raya and the Last Dragon. That tied with Luca. So they both had 14.
Fair.
Then
Turning
Soul.
Red.
Then Soul. Then
you really carried Soul.
I carried Soul a little bit for my initial impression. I get that. And then Soul and Wish had 12, and then Turning Red had 11. So they're all very close.
Okay.
Onward and Strange World had 10, and then Lightyear trailing with an 8.
Poor Lightyear.
If we give let's just say the Inside Out 2 is averaging a 4, so if we put 4 for those other 2s, that would give it a 20. It would come in second, which feels about I feel pretty similar to Elemental. I think it's probably going to wind up around there, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the only thing keeping Inside Out from being an Encanto level sensation is it just doesn't have the music.
It doesn't have the music, yeah. And while Elemental wasn't a full musical, it did have a couple good like songs, like kind of pop songs,
kind of like a Zootopia type of
thing.
thing.
Exactly. Yeah,
for sure. All right, so now we have the DVC engagement. We're already 12 minutes over the hour. I think this is going to be another infamous time where we say next week we'll go over the DVC engagement, because I actually want to talk about this one a little bit. So this is the DVC engagement for this week is going to be this spreadsheet. So Phil, I'm going to ask you if you could create the event for this one and put a link to a Google Doc like you did for the other one, or a sheet, whatever you're going to use. So next week we're going to go over all the different rankings that everybody gave for this and the engagement questions. So we'll double up, and then I think that's it. So remember, let us know what you agree with our findings. Link to this should be in the show notes somewhere. I think you're going to put something or the results. And then we'll go from there. Anything else that we need to mention, Phil?
I think that's good. Just if everyone could send positive vibes for my wife and daughter for their trip for Friday, it would be appreciated. And she said as long as it's not a disaster and they don't get on the ride or anything like that, she's willing to come on the show next week. So hopefully we can have her on to talk about the adventures of being at a Disney park for an opening day attraction.
We got to figure out how to do that on Sunday, because I'm going to a baseball game on Sunday, and then I'm going on vacation on Monday. So as long as she's okay with a later evening,
I think later evening Sunday should be fine.
Excellent. So, guys, everybody, thank you for watching and listening. You know where to find us on Discord. Make sure you join. And until next week, have a good one, everybody.
Take care, everybody.